Good morning, fam. What's going on? It is Kyle Henderson of Bama Football on YouTube. It is Tuesday. It is November 11th. Welcome to our Veterans Day special. If you are a veteran, please let us know inside the comment box. We appreciate you, and we at Bama Football on YouTube understand that freedom isn't free. We fly a flag outside of our home each and every day, and we appreciate you right here on Bama Football on YouTube. Coming up in about 15 minutes, maybe 10 minutes, we will do our Veterans Day salute, which should be pretty fun. We got a lot of interaction from our Facebook channel as well as right here on Bama Football on YouTube. So we will be giving plenty of shout outs to our veterans. So thank you so much. And I wanted to open up because I feel that's very important. As always, every single day, it's Veterans Day right here on Bama Football on YouTube. But we will do a special shout out during this particular show, which should be fun. Thanks for being here. Hey, heads on a swivel. All right, for this one, because you have a new prediction from the class of 2027 in Maxwell Hiller, who has been predicted to commit to the Alabama Crimson Tide. When is this going to happen? I don't know. Probably sooner than later. This is a five-star prospect. He is 6'5". He is out of Pennsylvania. He is an interior offensive lineman, the number one interior offensive lineman in the nation. So starting out with some good news on Tuesday, and I kind of reflect back on, if you caught my Wake Up Bama podcast this morning that we dropped, around 4 a.m., I discussed Coach Kalen DeBoer and what he had to say in terms of welcoming players back to Alabama. And as you could see, I think that really resonates with the recruits as well, because you get to see from a recruit standpoint the current trajectory of Alabama's program under Coach Kalen DeBoer. Think about it. They've made one hell of a change from last year to this year in terms of the progression. Coach Saban is still in the box. So it's probably a magical feeling for these recruits to come to Alabama and understand, look, we have something great going on right now, and this is where I could be in the future. So this is gigantic news. Class of 2027, I don't often talk about 2027 prospects because I understand there's still a long time in terms of their development, their recruiting process. I have a class of 2027 student that lives in my house, so I understand he's a teenager, right? But I think this is positive when you look to the recruiting landscape of Alabama football. It's been amazing. I mean, you look to how they have continued to recruit. Coach Kalen DeBoer, Courtney Morgan have done one hell of a job. Let me ask you, before we move forward, how would you assess Alabama's football recruiting on a scale of 1 to 10? Honestly, 1 to 10 for Alabama's recruiting since he got here. I don't give 10s often out, but I say it's pretty high up there. I say 9 or 10 because they've done a great job from the minute Coach Kalen DeBoer got here. The first guy he got on board was Ryan Williams. The second guy he got on board was Noah Carter, right? That was kind of the last two components. And then you see the class of 2025, 2026 is absolutely elite. And now working on 2027, you got Trent Seaborn in. You got, Maxwell Hiller, who will commit at some point in time. So a good piece of news to start off with on Tuesday. 5 keys to the game. And again, the back end of the show, we're going to have our Veterans Day shout-outs coming up here in just a minute. And we will also play Coach Kalen DeBoer, Kane Womack, Ryan Grubb, a couple sound bites from them as well in this particular show. We'll do kind of some what they said, our biggest takeaways from their commentary. 5 keys to the game real quick, and I'll elaborate this on this particular slide more later on, but real quick, I was thinking about this, and if you have kind of a key point that you want to highlight that you think is a key to the game, please let me know inside the comment box. I think, number one, you have to protect Ty Simpson. Oklahoma, as I mentioned, this is a very active defense that wants to get after Ty Simpson. They are number one in the nation in tackles for loss. They have 33 sacks on the season. They are number 7 in defense overall. So Oklahoma's defense is going to come with it. And I think if you're looking at how to play Alabama, how to challenge Alabama, you have to be able to get to the quarterback. Under pressure, I think Ty Simpson is 41% in terms of completion percentage, but when he's left open, I think his Pro Football Focus grade is close to 90. So if you don't get after him and you allow him to sit back, he has the tools, he has the talent to pick you apart, and you got to get after him. So you got to protect him. And Ryan Grubb yesterday was talking about you have to communicate. And that is up to Ty, right? A lot of that is up to Ty. Understanding, hey, I see the blitz here. You need to slide over here. I need protection on this side. Hey, running backs need to do their job in protecting when Ty sees a blitz and when he's communicating against Oklahoma. You have to stop the run. Last year doesn't equal this year, but Oklahoma can run the football 100%. The good news is Alabama's run defense is improving greatly. They haven't allowed that many chunk yardage plays as of late. There was one against LSU, but overall, it seems as though the Alabama run defense is starting to get better. They will be challenged against Oklahoma, and that's another kind of key to beating Alabama is, can you run the ball? Can you control the clock? Can you control the momentum at Bryant-Denny Stadium, which has been a real challenge for pretty much everybody that's came to face DeBoer and his crew in the black hoodie. Number 3, you have to win the red zone. This is going to be one hell of a battle inside the red zone. You're looking at 2 very good football teams inside the red zone on offense and on defense. Alabama has a really stout red zone defense, and Oklahoma this season is 28 of 28 inside the red zone, right, with 21 of those being touchdowns. So that is going to be one hell of a battle, and lately it seems that when the opposition gets into the red zone, they have a very difficult time coming away with 7 against Alabama. I really love the red zone play as of late. You have to win the turnover battle. In Alabama right now, they are number 1 in the SEC in most gained turnovers and number 1 in least amount of turnovers, right? They have 5 fumbles and they have 1 interception. One of the top places in the nation. And on defense, I mean, they forced 16 interceptions and they have forced 8 interceptions and 8 fumbles. So you got to win the turnover battle, and that has been really, a big deal for Alabama this entire season. This team does not turn over the football. I mean, I think you have 4 fumbles that have been by Ty, but other than that, he doesn't put the ball in bad placement. He's done a really good job taking care of the football. 21 touchdowns, 1 interception. The defense has to hold the rope. I mean, is the defense going to be the foundational piece of this team as we go to the back end? I wouldn't be mad about that. They've been doing a great job. They've been improving. And until kind of that offense gets out of that sputter that they might be in, defense has to hold the rope, and going up against a very good quarterback who has elite weapons at wide receiver and the running backs, defense has to hold the rope, and I think they will. Veterans Day shout-out coming up in just a few minutes. Let's look at some stats real quick. I put this together. I'm a stat guy. I love going inside the numbers. I hope you are too, so let me read this out. I'll go full screen. 18th on offense in third down conversions at 48%. I'm not mad about that number, to be honest. 51st in defensive third down conversions with 36%. I actually like that number. I do. I'm surprised that they're 51, ranked 51, because like Texas A&M, I think on the defensive third downs, Texas A&M is allowing, I think, the opposition 24%. So that is some really good third down defense from Texas A&M. All right, they are ranked 25th in penalties, 47 for 394 yards. This is a gigantic improvement. Last year, I think Alabama was ranked 110th in penalties. Last game, they only had 1 against LSU. They are second in passes intercepted, right? They only had, Ty Simpson's only thrown 1 interception this season. UConn is the only team that has not thrown an interception through 10 games, which is incredible. 46th, they are ranked in interceptions with 8. Bray Hubbard has 3 by himself. 13th in passing offense, 291 per game. 10th in passing defense. I really love that number, 161. That is hats off for that number. My goodness. 16th in the red zone offense, 35 of 38. Oklahoma is 28 of 28, as I've mentioned. 8th, they are ranked 8th in red zone defense, 17 of 24. That's 70%, which is a really good number, ranked 8th in the nation. And then right here, I know this is the ugliest number on the board, 119 in run offense, right, with 111, which is a 3.5 average this season, and then ranked 54th in run defense, 139. I'm not mad at that number. I'm not. It needs to improve, but I'm not mad at that number. It's better than it was last year. 3rd, turnovers lost, 6. They have 5 fumbles. Ty has 4 of those turnovers by himself with fumbles. Really, Ty has all the 5 turnovers, right? Who is okay? Here's my trivia. Ty is responsible for 5 of those turnovers. He's thrown 1 interception and he has 4 fumbles. Where's the other turnover? Let me know inside the comment. I can't even think about it. Let me know. And then lastly, they are ranked 18th in turnovers gained, but first in the SEC with 16, 8 fumbles, and 8 interceptions. You guys like the stats? Thumbs up for the stats. You guys feeling good? I appreciate it. My shout outs today, all right, are to the veterans. All right, so if you are a veteran, inside the comment box, please let me know. I will give you a shout out. But I also, I know a couple off the top of my head, like Army 3275. Thank you for your service. We have Patriot Life. I think Ephraim is also a veteran as well, and I think we have several others inside the comment box. And it's really important that we give you guys shout outs today. It really is. So this will be our Veterans Day shout out. And we got some really good feedback from Facebook, okay? So Marcus and St. Pete's, appreciate you as well. And I got to start out by giving you a little backstory on my boy, Rafael Diaz, all right? I was roommates with him. He is from Puerto Rico, up in Orocovis, which is up in the mountains. And when I met this guy, I didn't know what to expect. He lived life to the fullest. He was in the Navy. He was a chef in the Navy. And, man, I love this dude. He was a good cat. And I always remember he always used to tell me, hey, he's like, Kyle, if not now, then when? And that always was so inspired to me. Like, I just love the way that he got life. And unfortunately, he passed away due to cancer in 2023. I think about him often, but he used to tell me stories about traveling the world as a Navy chef. And I'll never forget one night we made some Alfredo. And we were sitting up in our room in Washington, D.C., and he carved up an apple. And this apple, he turned it into a swan. So R.I.P. to my great friend, Rafael Diaz. I think about you often. And, thoughts and prayers to his family. Let's go to Facebook now, because we got some amazing feedback in terms of the veterans. So I'm going to showcase this real quick on the screen. We'll go over it one by one. We got actually 56 comments, and we will zoom in on this, and we will give some shout outs. All right, here we go. All right, James Jimmy Voss. Look at this. My maternal grandfather, Ralph Stone. My paternal grandfather, Victor Voss. My dad, Victor Voss. My maternal uncle, John Stone. My parental great uncle, Pete Voss. My parental great uncle, James Voss. My maternal great uncle, Roy Stone. Myself, U.S. Army. My goodness, what a hell of a shout out. We have Mr. Green inside the comment box. He says, hey, I'm a 25-year retired Navy chief. Thanks for the shout out. Pleasure to serve. Well, thank you so much for your service. We really appreciate you, Mr. Green. We have Christopher Jermaine. He says, Rich Canels, Christopher, Melinda, King Riz, who's inside the comment box. All these guys in 2019, shortly before they deployed to Iraq. Thank you very much for your service as well. We have Jerry Mahan saying, LD Duke Mahan served from 1941 to 1945. Man, they don't make them like they used to back then, right? That is some World War II. We have Hal Parvin, right, who is from LTC, right, retired. We have Willie McMillan from 1993 to 2015. Thank you so much. We have Lori Gilmore, Rebecca Graham Abraham, and her husband, Warren. Thank you so much for your service. Casey Taylor, Captain Taylor Rassinelli, right? That's Italian, U.S. Army. My son, Ryder Rassinelli, a freshman at UA, Roll Tide Roll. Oh, I love this right here. We got Mark Winston. Thank you so much for your service as well. Love that shot as well. And we have, we got plenty more. I love it, right? Redfish, we have U.S. Navy Chief Petty Officer, 22 years, 1981 to 2003. U.S. Navy Civil Service, 2003, 2023. Wow, that's a long time of the naval service. All right, Tara says, my dad, Jack Mann, United States military Vietnam veteran. My husband, Christopher Ford, retired. We have Andre Easter, Navy Chief, served 22 years. Give a Roll Tide. Hell yeah. We got Maverick, Semper Fi, man. Appreciate you. We got Chaz Peters, U.S. Army retired warrant officer, 22 years, right? We have Margaret, who says Patrick and Braden. We have Arnett Johnson Williams saying, my husband, Terry Williams, United States Marine Corps, third generation Marine. Love to see it. My goodness. We have Joe Fuller, right? Captain, United States Air Force, retired 1985 to 2008. We have Steve Hogan, Army, 1975 to 1991. We have Scott Turner, says, hey, Kyle, roll tide. I served in the U.S. Air Force for over 24 years and retired as a senior master sergeant. My son, Sterling Turnage, is currently serving in the Air Force and a staff sergeant. He's almost in 12 years so far. Wow, that's amazing. Jimbo Tart says, U.S. Army, Desert Storm veteran, proudly served. We have Paul Chisholm says, Champ Leatherneck, Afghanistan, Navy Chief, retired. Love to see it. We have Sam Harway, Navy, 63 to 1977. We have Ed Hill, served in the Air Force 1976 to 1981. Roll Tide, roll. We also have Alice McGann Dunaway, says, my son Caleb Cubbage served in the United States National Guard and spent time in Iraq. I served time in the Air Force from 1991 to 2008. Roll Tide, thank you for all that have served. Jerry Moody, my husband, served 23 years in the U.S. Army. 2 sons, Army, and my 3 grandpas, 2 Army and Navy, 2 uncles, Army, wow, missing in action, 2 brothers and nephews, all Marines. My goodness. We got Tikrit, all right, from Robert. Oh, I love that picture right there. And we have Michael Santmeyer, U.S. Air Force. Couple more to go. We have Bob Green, veteran, second in the 8th 1st Air Cavalry Division, 1967 and 1968. Joseph Hooker says, roll tide, roll. And we got Jackie Padilla saying, Seth Garcia, World War II. Arnett Johnson, Williams, Jerry Williams, second generation Marine. Michael Higdon says he was in the Army. Mike Bozer from 1973 to 2000. We have Virginia Marie Bass says, David S. Bass, miss you, daddy. And Jay Johnson from the Navy, 1978 to 2000. We have Travion, who says, hoorah. And Dylan McIntyre says, my grandfather Cam served in the U.S. Air Force for 35 years. Sandra Littles Tyler posts a beautiful picture of, cemetery. Has anybody been to Arlington? Let me know inside the comment box. Sandra Littles Tyler posts a picture with obviously someone who served. We appreciate your service. Camp Eschborn in Germany, William, that's from 1980 to 1982. Thank you so much for your service as well. And a few more to go. Candy Lawson Collins says, Jack Lawson and Anthony Dorsett. We give a roll tide to you. Let's see who else we got. A couple more inside the comment box. Rocket Town says, a big thank you to all the military families. Ethan says, freedom is not free. Thanks to all the vets who answered the call to protect our freedom 100%. Scott Turner says, thank you. No, thank you, veterans. Thank you. Camp Leatherneck, John Woods. Now, there's a place I haven't thought about in a while. Hey, Kyle, says Phil, retired Army veteran. I served from 1995 to 2015. Birmingham Savage says, roll tide, baby. Yeah, you feeling good, right? Good way to start out the show. Arlington is very humbling, 100%. You understand kind of the people that paid their ultimate sacrifice so that we could have the freedoms that we have in this great life, right? David from Louisiana said 16 years Army combat veteran with 4 deployments, 2 in Iraq, 2 in Afghanistan. That is amazing, man. We appreciate you, David. We love when you call in. King Riz, my boy, man, is saying Army veteran, served Operation Iraqi Freedom, 2003, 2004. And Javion says, I just drove past Arlington. Man. And Riley points out that out of all the places that he went, Arlington was his favorite. Yeah, I think it really puts things into perspective, right? In terms of, people who gave and paid the ultimate sacrifice. So with that said, we want to say happy Veterans Day to everyone out there. And if you're currently serving, we appreciate your service as well. And if you have those that have paid the ultimate sacrifice, thank you so much. As I look to the YouTube channel, it would never be political, and I don't think celebrating Veterans Day is political. I think it's an honor, and it's something that has to be done. I mean, these are people that are defending our freedoms, and I love to see it. And I have so much respect for people that is served. As you know, I lived in D.C. I lived in Alexandria, Virginia at 2 different times, and it was a great honor to rub shoulders with some of the great people, in this country. So thank you so much. We appreciate you. We understand clearly that freedom is not free. So thank you so much for joining us right here on Bama Football on YouTube. Okay. As we move on, let's get to the press conferences from yesterday. And we'll go over Kane Womack, we'll go over Ryan Grubb, and we'll go over Kalen DeBoer. As I came back and I kind of rewatched these press conferences, man, you know what? I thought I think sometimes the team reporters are like, I wish they would have asked a better question. I thought there were some pretty good questions yesterday. I really did. So here's Kane Womack, defensive coordinator, talking about briefly what to expect from Oklahoma, and we kick it off with Coach Womack.
When you look at this opponent in Oklahoma, obviously they're a very dynamic offense, quarterback that, can do a lot with his feet. He's got, really good arm talent, kind of, puts the ball all over the yard. He's got a lot of different arm angles and the way that he gets the ball out in the RPO game and the quick game and being able to scramble and create and extend plays. You look at some of their off-schedule plays or some of their most explosive plays, and so that's something that we got to do a great job of having 11 bodies that are swarming to the ball, play in and play out. I really like their running back room. I think they do a really good job. Physical, big. When they get out in space, they've been able to hit you for explosive plays, and then there's a couple guys in their receiving core that are pretty dynamic with the ball in their hands as well. So it'll be a great challenge for us, like it is every week in the SEC, and looking forward to the week of work ahead.
Yeah, before we get started with more from Coach Kane Womack, I think, I've been hyping up Oklahoma's defense, and rightfully so, because statistically speaking, they have a lot of active statistics that jump off the board to me. But, one of the names that we really haven't focused on is their quarterback, John Mateer. I don't think that Mateer has had the season that he's wanted to, but I think he's very capable to do damage against anybody. It is surprising to me that he's only thrown 8 touchdowns, but it is also surprising to me that John Mateer has also rushed for over 300 yards. So the guy is more of a runner than I think people give him credit for. Kind of not as similar running style to Ty Simpson, but the guy can move. Super athletic quarterback. We continue with more from defensive coordinator Kane Womack.
Yeah, I feel like playmakers is a word that gets thrown around a lot, but this, especially with offense at times, but defensively it seems like you have some playmakers. I know that you harp on taking the ball away, but is being a playmaker something that defenders can be taught, or is that something that they just innately have?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think, typically when you make plays on the ball, there's a confidence that you have in doing your job at a high level. And so you know what to do. You play with anticipation. I've told you guys this before. Defense is inherently reactionary, right? Offense comes out in a play, we react to it. But if you start to understand what we're doing at a high level, and you recognize what the offense is getting ready to do, right, then all of a sudden you can play with anticipation, and anticipation creates production. And so I think we've got guys that are playing with more anticipation as we go throughout the season. They're seeing more football. A lot of times you see the things that show up on tape that you've put out on tape, you're going to see those things again. Teams have a style of how they maybe want to try to game plan and attack us, and our kids, I think, are very aware of the weak points and weaknesses of a certain coverage or a certain pressure or whatever it may be, and so they're ready for those things and playing at a higher level. And then some of it is just great instincts and in the moment, right? Can you think to punch the ball out, right, or create a strip in the moment? And I think you got guys like Bray Hubbard and Nakai and Deontay Lawson, to name a few that are doing those things.
Yeah, I love the playmaker comment, because when I think about this defense right now, I see a lot of playmakers. I mean, I won't name them all, but let's name just a couple of guys that maybe we haven't talked about enough. I see a playmaker in Dejon Lee. I mean, that guy is making plays, right? You put him in at corner. I mean, I refer to the big, bat away that he had against LSU, but he's a playmaker, 100%. James Smith, I think he's a guy that's been very active in making plays on the defensive line. I mean, clearly Yanzi Pierre, we've been talking about him. Red Morgan is a guy that is a playmaker. He might not be starting, but he's a playmaker. You know who else we saw? And I don't know if she's on right now, Ebony Carter, but we saw a 24. step up. And he looked good. He looked pretty good. I know that, there's a couple guys ahead of him, but in terms of his trajectory, nothing wrong with Noah Carter at all. I saw him get on the field as well. Good to see it. We continue with Coach Kane Womack.
Looks like the tandem of Tim Keenan and James Smith, and then London Simmons, Edric Hill, like pretty equal in terms of snap counts. Is that due to keeping guys fresh, rolling guys in and out, or is it what goes into that? And do you see kind of a continuation of production between those two groups, or how would you assess it?
Yeah, I think I think Freddie does a good job of keeping those guys engaged, and to me they're they do a good job in the week of practice and the week of preparation, and then they get out there on game day. We try to be mindful of you want to play those guys early, because as the game goes on, if there's one guy that has a hot hand, or going into the game there's a guy that's clearly the better player, you want to make sure that dude is available right in the fourth quarter. And so we try to really push ourselves to an uncomfortable position of getting guys on the field, simply because you want to make sure that when you get into that game like we had against South Carolina, we played a lot of players early in the earlier part of that game. And I think at the end, you saw some of our best players step up and make plays in big moments, like Tim Keenan and Deontay Lawson. At the beginning of the season, I don't think either one of those two players would have been in position to do that, just from a rep-based standpoint. And so we try to be mindful of that as we navigate through a game.
Yeah, Oklahoma has scored on every red zone possession they've had this year.
Yeah.
What do they do well down there, and what's kind of the key to stopping them?
Well, they have, they do a really good job with their 1+ quarterback run. Usually when you look at an offense that can run the ball from the quarterback position, they're going to be more effective in the red zone, because you can't stretch people vertically anymore in the passing game, right? You need that extra piece in the run game. I think they do a really good job of mixing that up. They also have a great RPO system, and so they can still attack you laterally when they're still threatening you with the quarterback 1+ run game. So they do a really nice job of using all of their bodies and also using all of the width of the field in those situations. And so they'll be challenging for us, I think. And we've done a really nice job in the red zone defensively. I think our guys have a lot of fight. I think more than anything, there's just a confidence that our players have whenever we get down in that situation. We talk about the E-Bombay all the time, right? The hold fast the line. That our kids believe those things. They believe that no matter how they got down there, kind of the illustration I always create for them in fall camp is you're dragging the opponent into deep waters, right? And then at that point, right, you're drowning them out, and that's what our guys are doing a good job of.
Yeah, I mean, the red zone is going to be a battle this coming Saturday. I think there's going to be times where they each challenge each other inside the red zone. Alabama's offense has been pretty good as well. Oklahoma, 28 of 28 coming out with scores. 21 of those have been touchdowns. But, man, I tell you what, let me ask you inside the comm box. You've been impressed with the red zone defense, right? Like, it's just not me. I mean, these guys have been, they've been coming up with plays. I'm telling you, like Bray Hubbard, I thought he should have had an interception. He probably missed it. But, man, coming up with even the pass deflection. So I like Alabama inside the red zone. They will be challenged at times, I would imagine, against Oklahoma. This is a really good quarterback. So you're going to get better, going forward from that. So love to see it. Yeah, we have 90 on. So I appreciate all the 90 here kicking it with me on Veterans Day. Thank you so much. It's always about the process for me. You know what I'm saying? The consistency and performance, right? There might not be 20,000 on the show. I get it. There's a lot of other much more talented content creators than me. I've been in this for a while, but I get it. There's way better people than me on the platform, but I appreciate the 90 that are here. I'll roll with the 90. I'll roll with the 10. If you got 10 on, it don't matter to me. It's about the consistency and performance in delivering Alabama football content. So, and I get it. I know where I stand. I understand it. I've accepted it, and we'll just roll with it. So now we got Ryan Grubb up at the podium, and this is a good press conference from yesterday.
When you're watching that Oklahoma defense, what kind of jumps out to you immediately on film?
Very multiple. They do a great job. Coach Venables has obviously been around a long time, knows how to do it. This is a guy that's going to look to attack your weaknesses, and he's got a very specific game plan for each offense. I think that's what makes him somewhat unique, is that how he attacks Ole Miss isn't necessarily how he attacks Texas and so on and so forth. So I think, the multiple looks up front. They got a lot of defensive looks as far as the secondary and how they match their fronts. They do a really good job mixing that up, utilizing their personnel in different ways. They got a big kid, number 5, who is kind of like the Simmons kid they had at Clemson. They move him all over the field, and he's super athletic. They create different pictures for you, which as an offensive guy, I can really look at and appreciate. So he's going to make you earn it.
Coach, what are some of the strides and steps you want to see your offense take in the downfield passing game?
Obviously, the low-hanging fruit there is complete the big open ones, right? And those are things I think there's a little bit of carryover there from the weeks previously, just getting the ball out earlier and on time and making sure that we give our guys a chance to the football down the field. So obviously we had a couple that didn't hit there that would have been big plays that we had guys open on. I think some of those things you can overthink at times where we've seen those guys make those plays a million times out on the practice field. So just getting to a situation where we feel better about when that ball is coming out, staying on time with our footwork's matching the throw, and just staying confident in that process.
The running, the deep ball passing, that's another thing that we're like, super have a microscope on, because I think the number is like 2 of 14. But ironically, in this last game, Ty Simpson had some really long deep ball passes, right? I know he threw 2 deep passes to Jeremy Bernard that were over 25 yards. I think that 2 of 14 number, I'll have to go into it, but I think it's like 35 or 40 plus, because I know he connected with Jeremy Bernard twice for a long amount of yardage. And then he threw a 53-yarder to Lazier Brooks, right? Now, I can think of a couple passes where he overthrew Jeremy Bernard. That would have been a touchdown, 100%. And then he underthrew Lazier Brooks. I don't know. 2 of 14, I don't like that number, but I don't know if I'm like really worried about, like, does he have a deep ball? I've been thinking about that, and I guess we'll have to see down the road. I mean, you have wide receivers that can certainly beat the DBs when they're not being held. I will say this. Do you agree with me on this point? Alabama's wide receivers get held. I get it. There's holding, happens all the time. But it seems like Ryan Williams, for example, like just taking him, that dude is held. It's crazy. And I think it's because he has such fast takeoff speed. You could call pass interference on every single play, pretty much. But maybe the D-ball will come. It's important. Is it vital? I don't know. I take the high efficiency mid-range passes, and I don't want interceptions, period. Give me 15, give me a 20-yard pass. That'll pick up a first down, and I don't want an interception. So, but I am worried about the running game. The running game makes me nervous. The deep ball, not as much.
What attributes or characteristics would you define to a good run blocking offensive line, and do you see that in your current offensive line?
Yeah, I see it. They're there. A big part is being able to handle movement. And then just having, bent knees, low angles, tight hands, and tight feet. Sometimes I think right now we're playing with our feet a little bit long on our second step, all the little details that you got to be better at. And then some of our double teams have lacked coming together. And that's all the things we got to keep working on. So the guys know what it is. I believe in them. I know that they're going to be able to get it done. And we just got to stick to the process. Right now, if we continue to just what I told the guys was if we're only focused on the outcome right now, I think that's part of the problem is there's too much noise going on where they're listening to the narrative of we can't do this, we can't do that. We got to focus on what we can do. And there's some things we're really good at, and it does not showing up right now, but it will. And we got good players that are committed to the process, and we're lucky to have them.
Yeah, the offensive line, I've been calling out the offensive line in terms of their run blocking. Their pass blocking, actually, like if you look at the grades, they're pretty good. But I think the run blocking, I think the offensive line is like they haven't got it going. Obviously, offensive coordinator Ryan Grubb is going to get behind his guys. He's not going to throw them under the bus, but I do feel that is an issue. I do feel that the offensive line has been a big problem. I point to the Pro Football Focus grades. I know there's some other people that have been talking about, a point of contact in Alabama, maybe scheming wise, but I feel it strongly comes down to the offensive line in terms of the run game. That's my personal opinion. I've kind of been on that. And my reasoning is like, okay, yeah, maybe you throw in a different running back. They've tried to implement Daniel Hill recently. They went away from Kevin Riley. I don't know why. They've given Jam opportunities. They've gone completely away from Richard Young. He don't even play anymore. And, AK Deer, we were waiting for him. We would like to see him. Honestly, I'd like to see AK Deer. Honestly, I think it's time maybe you get a freshman in there and just see. Maybe something can pop, but I think it won't matter because the common denominator for me is the offensive line. And I think, no matter which running back you put back there, you're going to have issues. And I brought this up yesterday, and I know it makes people uncomfortable because people love Ryan Grubb. I would say the overall approval rating of him right now, it's probably the lowest that it's been, and it's probably like 8 out of 10, right? We love Ryan Grubb here. But if you start to dig into the weeds about Ryan Grubb with the Seattle Seahawks, it's the same exact thing that is happening right now. There was a disconnection from the passing game to the running game, and he could never establish a rhythm with the running game. Look it up. Just type in, why was Ryan Grubb fired at Seattle? And you'll be like, wow, that's the same thing that's happening over here. And then I think there's some Seattle Seahawks fans that are like, well, they didn't have a offensive line. Well, maybe Alabama doesn't have an offensive line that can move the defense, but I think if you, like Cody B saying, if you can just look it up, it's the exact same thing that is going on here. It's kind of being too pass heavy, not establishing a running game. And that was kind of like the big difference between Mike McDonald, how he wanted his offense ran, and that's eventually why he got fired. Am I saying that he needs to get fired? Am I saying that I'm not a fan of him? No. I mean, this is the best offensive coordinator you've had. But, maybe this is a thing that he himself even needs to work on. We all have to work on something.
Go to Joe, middle left.
Coach, a couple weeks ago, Lane Kiffin suggested that Oklahoma might be good at stealing signs or gathering information. Is that something that you guys have talked about this week, and will y'all maybe change signs up or maybe approach the offensive play calling a little differently, the process of the offensive play calling a little differently?
For sure, on all fronts. They're good at that, number one. And number two, we'll be changing everything. So if Coach Venables listening, just know they're all changing. But they do everything within the parameters of the game, though, and they're nothing illegal about what they do. They're good at what they do, so certainly have to take that into consideration.
Yeah, I mean, the whole sign stealing deal, I'm glad he pointed out that it's within, like, the legal parameters. I know Lane Kiffin kind of started, that a couple weeks ago about Oklahoma knowing the signs. Anybody could, decode signs. I mean, it's part of the game. If you do it legally, then, you're going to be able to figure out the signs. They clearly switch up signs, I would imagine, week by week. I don't think that will come into play here, but it will be interesting to watch.
Right next to him there. Ian, go ahead.
Hey, Coach, do you think there's any correlation between some of the struggles running the ball and some of the struggles in the deep passing game? Do you think you need one to open up the other? Do you think there's even any relationship there?
Always. It's not a maybe thing. Obviously, consistency in the run game is going to allocate more people to the box and open up the throws down the field. I think as far as opportunities, for not having a ton of success running the football on Saturday, I thought we had really good opportunities to get the big shots down the field. And it didn't feel like it after the game, but I think 4 of our top 12 explosive plays on the season happened on Saturday night. So we had some big hits, but that's how you got to keep people out of those types, heavy boxes, a lot of people in there trying to make it hard on you, blitzing, things like that. You got to make them pay. And we just didn't enough. And we had probably 3 other hits that would have been, 40-plus yard completions. Those are the ones that eventually when you hit 50-yard touchdowns and things like that, they will stop doing it. So it's our job to make sure that they stop doing it.
Decoding that right there is, he's saying exactly, what we're thinking. If you're able to hit on some deep shots, then people are going to they can't continue to send the house. But if I'm playing Alabama, that whole first half, I am challenging Ty Simpson. Now, the thing is, you can look at that Tennessee game. Joey Aguilar ate up Oklahoma's defense. He really did. I think he threw for 349 yards. So he was – and I think if Oklahoma does have a weak spot, it's probably their secondary. They have a really good defensive front seven that is going to come after you. They're going to get to you. But that secondary, I think, is not as good. So if they're in space, and the Alabama wide receivers are really good, so if Ty can hit on a couple deep balls, don't be surprised if you see maybe some really big kind of deep yardage passing plays be a major storyline on Saturday. I could certainly see that happening.
All right, let's finish up with Katie, right on the left.
Oklahoma leads the country in tackles for loss. I think it's top 5 in sacks. So just kind of what's the message to the offensive line this week about, holding strong along the line of scrimmage?
Yeah, I think I know our communication has to be elite. That's the one thing that, we probably don't talk about enough, like characteristics of good offensive linemen, all the things that, physically you want to have. But the number one thing is communication. When you have problems in the interior gaps and you don't take care of the interior gaps, whether it's pass protection or run blocking, those problems happen quick. And when we have problems on the inside, that's where the TFLs and the sacks come from. Quarterback's eyes will drop from pressure and people being in his face when it's in between the tackles. If stuff happens outside the edge, typically you can deal with that. But interior issues are where you get behind the chains, whether it's a 4-yard loss on an inside zone run or, it's a sack, a guy stepping right up the B gap. Those are where all your problems happen. And to me, our guys just we got to have a great week of communicating at the line of scrimmage. And that's the thing, really challenge the guys with, because they'll go after this, and they're going to be excited about the process with Parker. And, everybody just listening to Parker, and what he says is what we're doing, and stick together with one count. Because if you're going to be wrong together. It's going to make sure that as simple as it sounds, if you're wrong together, the problem will be on the outside, not on the inside, if we're all moving the same direction. So we can't have half the line doing one thing, the other half the line doing the other part. And if you stick to that, you'll always have a chance, whether you're protecting Ty or running the football. So we got to do a great job of that this week, and certainly Oklahoma will challenge us on that.
Yeah, that's Ryan Grubb in terms of the whole communication. You did see, I wouldn't call it a communication breakdown, but remember when Ty and Parker Brailsford, he had to call that timeout and, kind of patted on the hat. It reminded me of A.J. McCarron way back when. Look, it's going to come down to communication. The good news is you're at Bryant-Denny Stadium, so Ty Simpson can be able to control the 103,000. But you're going to run into situations where you're not at Bryant-Denny, as I've been speaking about. You look at, the next conference game there after Oklahoma to be at Auburn. The next game, SEC championship game, that's going to be away. So the communication has to be tightened up against very good defenses that you're going to play. That's Ryan Grubb, and now we move into Alabama head football coach Kalen DeBoer.
This is a little off topic, but there's a lot of former Bama guys, NFL guys, Saban guys there at the game on Saturday. Just what's your approach having former players around, even the ones that didn't play for you, and just kind of how does that benefit the guys currently in the program?
Yeah, I love it. This is their program. It's ours all together, but they're the ones that built this and made it what it is, and love that they want to come back and are proud of what they accomplished, and hopefully proud of what we're doing right now with so much recruiting and so forth. This week was probably one of those weeks where I didn't get to see as many as I normally do, and whether it's pregame or during the day or even the weekend, saw a few of them. Booker in particular, which is a guy from last year's team, he was around, and just that excites me, because that's what we want. You want alumni to always feel like this is home and a place that they can come back to and be welcome, and want them. Especially in the off season, it's a lot easier to do, but just really integrate everyone together. Our players, hearing the stories, understanding the history, learning as well on how they can continue to be better, because a lot of these guys that are coming back have been in the NFL and understand what that next step looks like, and that's what our guys' goals and dreams are.
Yeah, I love that. I mean, I even, on the Wake Up Bama podcast that I posted this morning, that shows so much about Kalen DeBoer and who he is as a head football coach and who he is as a man, and understanding that, look, these are the guys that put the foundation here, right? What he's done, it has been impressive, but until you really earn some hardware, what have you really done? Improvement is one thing, but putting trophies in the case is a different thing, right? And he hasn't done that. And, he's working towards that. And I love the fact that all these former players and even Coach Saban himself still want to come back to Bryant-Denny Stadium and be a part of that. That is a positive thing. And Coach Kalen DeBoer embracing that is so smart. And as you saw, as I opened up the show, Max Hiller, the 5-star prospect who was recently just in Tuscaloosa, you get a feel of that because you see it's magnetic, right? So Kalen DeBoer right now is a very magnetic person. He's doing all the right things. He's been very steadfast. He's improved on his offense. He's improved on his defense. I know there's still room to grow in each of those areas, but we're taking steps forward. I mean, think about this, right? Let me ask you 2 questions. Has Alabama improved at the quarterback position year over year? Yes or no? Has Alabama improved with its offensive coordinator year over year? Just comparing, yes. Has Alabama defensive coordinator Kane Womack improved year over year, right? Alabama's recruiting has still been at a very elite level. And I think even Coach Kalen DeBoer, the more comfortable that he gets, underneath that black hoodie, man, he's got some dog mentality in him, right? And that kind of fire, you start to see him. So I love it. Players want to still come back to Bryant-Denny and celebrate with everybody. I'd love to see it.
Yeah, right now the offense has the fewest turnovers per game in the SEC, and the defense has the most takeaways per game in the SEC. Have you ever had a team like that, and what's been the key to having those two at the same time?
Yeah, it's emphasis. We talk about what our identity is, and what you just heard from me, and the things that I think are important are what our team heard Sunday. When we got in the team room and reviewed what went well, where we got to improve. But we talk about that. It doesn't happen by accident. We're working on ball security drills. We're working on, stripping the ball, knocking it out. Nakai's punch on the ball was phenomenal. We made sure we highlighted that, not just what he's doing as a player, but that specific play. And emphasize even the one that we didn't get earlier, I believe it was the first drive of the game. And so, you keep doing those things. You play the percentages. I brought up the Missouri game where a couple didn't fall our way, but in the end we got some interceptions to finish out in the fourth quarter. And we're just talking about those plays, and it goes back to defensively make the offense snap it again. The Tennessee game and the interception for a touchdown, the play at the end of the game against South Carolina. Our guys believe, and they know if they give the effort and practice and work on those skills, protecting the ball as an offensive player, going after it defensively, and have that mindset and attacking. The habits or the habits that we have will lead to plays being made, and you create your own breaks.
I know.
Yeah, I mean, that's a pretty amazing stat. I don't know if you heard it, but the team reporter asked him, did you know that you're number 1 in the SEC in both turnovers limited and turnovers gained? That's an outstanding number. I mean, that shows you that they're playing opportunistic football on the defense, right? I mean, 8 interceptions and 8 fumble recoveries. And then Ty Simpson, I mean, he's playing smart football. He's not turning over the football. I know you've had a couple fumbles that he's had from his blind side. But other than that, I'm talking about interceptions. I'm talking about running backs. Even though the running backs haven't had the best showing, they're not putting the ball on the turf, which, that's important. And I think that Ty Simpson, I mean, that 21 to 1 interception ratio, that's crazy. That's crazy. So those are the things that win games when you are kind of in these games like LSU, these games like South Carolina, to where things aren't always going your way, but what'll make those games worse? What'll make the game worse against LSU? An interception, a fumble. It gives the other team chances. This team doesn't do that. That way they don't lose a lot of momentum. There might be, a bad series here and there. They might not get the run game going, but turnovers will absolutely kill you. Combine that with, missed field goals, that sort of stuff kills you. Now, Connor Talty was 2 or 3. Here's Coach Kalen DeBoer. I think we're talking about Talty right now.
The coaching mentality tends to be this is this year and last year was last year. But is along with that, is there any reminder for the players that, hey, this is the team that kind of wrecked things last year goal-wise? Or do you leave that to the veterans and the captains to remind players of that?
We have a lot of new players on the team, so there are players that didn't experience that. The ones that did certainly better remember and understand that, more importantly, that you're facing a really good program that, obviously we went to their place and got beat up pretty good last year, and that's who's coming to town this week. And so, Coach Venables done an amazing job instilling a culture there. And, we got a team that is coming here hungry. They're in the hunt for a lot of different things as far as reaching their goals. But, for us, we do then try to make sure that we always are focused on really this team being what we're centered on and us improving. And that's the focus is, again, how did we get to this point this year to where we've had the success? What's it going to take to be our best on Saturday? And so, again, you try to hone in on that, but you can't help but remember, the past. And those questions that you asked just now were also asked, a few weeks ago when we played Vanderbilt and so forth. And so, our guys, should remember that because our experiences help us be better the next time around.
Coach, you look at
Hey, what's up, Antoine? I see you inside the comment box. Thanks for checking in, man. Get in where you fit in, right? And then I saw Afghan Vet. Thanks for your service. And then Chad Kennedy, thanks for being here as well. I saw you inside the comment box earlier. Yeah, look, Oklahoma beat the brakes off Alabama. There's no easy way to put it last year. That team, did what they wanted to Alabama on each side of the football. It's crazy to me how many yards they rushed for with Jackson Arnold, who's now benched at Auburn, but still, they did absolutely work, and Alabama couldn't get anything going. That was, I never thought they would have lost to Oklahoma. So that team's coming in, and I remember after the game, Brett Venables was like, we punched Alabama in the mouth. He said that. Look, Brett Venables, I like Brett Venables, to be honest. I don't think he's like a shady character or like a villain, but this guy can coach, and he's coming in here, and there's few coaches that have a winning record against Coach Kalen DeBoer, and I think Brett Venables is, 1-0? With that said, I think Coach Kalen DeBoer against top 10 teams, we'll call Oklahoma a top 10 team, because I think they're 10 in the AP and 11 in the coaches. Tonight we'll figure out the college football playoff rankings. Oh, by the way, set your alarm or turn on your notifications because we will be live at probably 6:40 p.m. before the college football playoff rankings drop, okay? So that's kind of, let me make sure before we finish this out. Let's see. College football playoff rankings tonight, okay? Tonight's be a busy night. Let's see what time the rankings are tonight. The rankings schedule. 1 second, fam. Okay, so tonight is the 11th, and it is at 7 p.m. Yes. So, it'll be at 6 p.m. tonight. Oh, wow. So we're going to have to go early, fam, because if it's at 7 tonight, 5:45 p.m. 5:45 p.m. is my college football playoff show, okay? So 5:45 p.m. for the college football playoff show. And we'll do, I'll show you the resumes of all the teams, and then what we'll do from there is we'll show you the bracket as it's revealed. I know it's all rat poison, but we have to keep track of the rankings. I mean, this is where we're at. It is exciting. But Coach Kalen DeBoer, I think he's 6-1, if I'm not mistaken, against top 10 teams, which is extraordinary. All right, we got a couple more. Here's Coach Kalen DeBoer talking about Connor Talty.
some of the struggles Connor Talty's had, and, you obviously went 2 games before this one, the past 2 without attempting a field goal. How has it affected your team's decision-making on 4th down as far as, maybe going for it in situations, punting it on some of the further, and how do you think that'll play out over the course of the season with regards to having him kick? Or?
I actually don't think it's affected me much at all. He kicked a 40+ yard field goals in the game. One got us the early lead, 3-0, and then the one at the end makes it 2-score game. And that's, I think it was 44 maybe, somewhere in there. The one that they missed, I think the great kickers can overcompensate for maybe the execution of the rest of the snap and the hold not being perfect. And that's going to continue to be the growth. And him, I think the thing that I really like is when he's had maybe one that didn't go well, he's able to respond and come back and make the next one. And there's been some big ones that he's made that have stretched games, and it's been maybe in the last minute, but it's been late. And so, I just think it's part of the growth. This is really his first year out there, and him being able to respond and just take whatever happened, move it off to the side, and go make the next one because that's what's in front of him. That's what you got to do. And I think we punted probably about as close as we've been all year. Late in the game there, and that's the one that we pinned him deep. But we were just so far out, and it was, I think, a 3rd or 4th and extra pretty long. And so, to me, that really wasn't one that was as hard of a decision. But I really can't say that it's affected my choice is to go. I think we're going to be aggressive. You guys have heard that from me. We're going to play to win at the right times, but we get down in there. I trust our defense too. If we don't convert like we did, early in the game, I trust that our defense will have a great mindset to go out there and go play ball, and it doesn't affect them. You can't put them in bad spots over and over again, but they're gonna bow up and do their job, and we've talked about that a lot in team meetings.
Yeah, love that from Coach Kalen DeBoer. Look, I think special teams, why Connor Talty, I think, has kind of had some struggles. I mean, he did hit 2 40-yard field goals in this last game. So he missed a short one, made 2. I think he's 11 of 16 on the year. A couple more house cleaning items. As Chad reminded me inside the comment box, this Alabama basketball team is absolutely rolling. They are 2-0 on the season, beat North Dakota, and they just beat St. John's, who was number 5 in the country. They went up to Madison Square Gardens, and they were able to beat St. John's in an incredible game. This Thursday, they take on number 1 Purdue, which will be on ESPN2 at 6 p.m. It's going to be a sellout. We might, depending on how things go, we might do a watch along during that game. It's number 9 versus number 1, so stay tuned for that on Thursday. Might do a watch along as we got absolute Alabama basketball rolling. As you know, this video is powered by Sleeper. $20 when you just download the app, and remember, if you use the promo code, which is tailgate, you get a $100 deposit match up to $100. I know Josh Johnson, I know Jarvis, they play Sleeper. I play Sleeper myself. It's fun to do more or less picks. Tomorrow on our Wednesday show, we will discuss, the yardage for this coming Saturday. Ty Simpson, Jam Miller, the guys more or less in those parlays. I missed on my last one in this last game. I had struggles. I thought Jam would run for more than 50 yards. I thought Ty would throw for more than 260. Both of those were under, so we'll have to do a better job this coming week. And as you know, we're trying to get our new sponsor, which is TickPick, on board, okay? So check them out. Download the app. I know there's some big-time concerts coming up in April. Morgan Wallen coming to Bryant-Denny Stadium. You can go to TickPick, download the app, and use the promo code, which is HMA, and definitely get hooked up. So check out our sponsors. We appreciate them, and we appreciate you being inside the comment box and kicking in with us right here on our Veterans Day special on Bama Football on YouTube. I know you have many different options to, that cover Alabama football or college football in general, so thank you for giving your time to me. But I want to say, as we kind of close the show, thank you to our veterans. And if I missed you inside the comment box, don't hold it against, my heart. Hold it against my head, because I probably just didn't see it. But I thought, it was right to say thank you for the people that protect our freedoms each and every day, from the past, even the present. So if you're currently serving in the military, we appreciate you. We fly an American flag outside of our home every single day because we understand the privilege of being free right here in the United States of America. So thank you so much for watching today. I hope you had a great show. I'm going to be pumping out a ton of videos, okay? So make sure that you're subscribed, and make sure that you know that we will be live again at 5:45 p.m. Central Time for the College Football Playoff Show. We will get to see where Alabama is ranked. I would imagine it's the same pretty much rankings I got. I personally have Texas A&M at 2, but I would think they'd keep Indiana at 2, A&M at 3, Bama at 4. But it'll be interesting to see. And there'll be some new teams in because BYU lost, and you also had Memphis lose. I expect to see James Madison maybe at that 12 spot, because I think they're the highest. Outside of the Power Conference, they're ranked the highest. So thank you so much for kicking it with me today right here on Bama Football on YouTube. Smash the thumbs up and just enjoy the content. Thank you very much for getting inside the comment box. Have a beautiful rest of your day. I'm telling you, the videos are coming. So be ready. And I'll be back right here on Bama Football on YouTube. Thank you very much for your support. And I'll kick it with you as news happens right here on Bama Football on YouTube. Love you, fam. Thanks for watching. Have a great rest of your day. Happy Veterans Day. And catch you next time. See ya.